So I am being joined by Jayden Lee. He is a cancer survivor who ran 100 miles home from his last cancer appointment. He is also just the dopest dude with the most incredible mindset. And I am so excited to have him on today. So thank you, Jayden, for being here.
Thanks so much for the kind introduction. I'm stoked to be here and chat.
Yeah. So tell me kind of about your background. And I know, and I'll share your social media, but you lost your mom, you lost your best friend, you had cancer, and yet you're thriving.
Yes.
Like you're thriving.
Yeah, I mean,
What?
it's taken a long way to get here, and I went through a lot of rough years mentally and going through depression and all that kind of stuff. But basically, yeah, I can kind of start from the beginning of my story a little bit. But yeah, to kind of touch on what you were talking about, I got when I was 16 years old. It was like my first year of high school. I ended up getting diagnosed with leukemia, which is a type of blood cancer. And so, yeah, I was kind of starting to feel just kind of under the weather a little bit. And I actually found out that I was sick through running, which was really cool now to do that run. I was always like really good in PE class. I was always like first in the 10Ks at my school. And then like grade 10 came around my first year of high school and I couldn't even run a lap around the track. And I was just feeling like tired and kind of lethargic and just not like myself. But this was right after the Christmas holidays. And I was like, oh, maybe I just like ate a lot over the holidays or just was out. But I was also like 15, so it didn't really make any sense. But I
Yeah.
was just like, "Oh, I need to get back into shape." So I was, like, trying to eat healthier. I started going to the gym. I was, like, going on runs by myself and just, like, I would go on a run, and I almost felt like I was gonna, like, pass out. And then it finally led to, like, I was starting to sit out in PE class, and my doctor or my PE teacher, sorry, was just kinda like, "You're not looking good," and, like, "Why are you asking to sit out?" I think "That's not like you." And I'm just the type of person where I'm like, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine." And then he ended up
Mhm.
finally emailing my mom and was like, "Jaden keeps sitting out. This is not like him, all this stuff." And my mom was like, kinda same thing, like, "We've noticed he's looking a little pale, but he keeps saying he's fine." And so it kinda took, like, my PE teacher emailing my mom to, like, really, like, get this figured out. And so, yeah, then,
Yeah.
after that conversation, my mom took my resting heart rate that night at the dinner table, and it was 120 beats per minute. And so we were like, "Oh, shit," like, "Yeah, we should maybe go get
Yeah.
this checked out." So, yeah, then the next day, I'll never forget it. It was January 28th, 2015, and went to school that day, went and got blood work, after school, and then my mom got a call from the hospital that night saying that, "You gotta bring your son in, like, now," and then I got diagnosed with leukemia.
Shit. And you were
Yeah.
16. How long oh, from the time that you had gotten diagnosed to that last cancer appointment where you ran 100 miles home, what was the age gap?
So, I got sick in 2015. That run was 2023, so that was, like, 8 years. So I did chemo for 3.5 years. So I was when I got diagnosed, I was, like, in the hospital, like, basically living in and out of the hospital for a year solid. From that night
Yeah.
when I got diagnosed, I was, like, in for a week, then I got to go home for a week, then I was in for over a month, and so I was just, like that first year, I was, like, completely in and out of the hospital. And then after that first year, I ended up going into remission, but one of the things with leukemia is it's very high risk to come back, so regardless if you're in remission or not, they have a 3.5-year protocol that you have to do chemotherapy for. So, I still had to do chemo for another 2.5 years after that, but it was just once a month I had to go into BC Children's Hospital and get IV chemo, and then I would just take pills every day, so it was less intense, it was still a lot though. Um, and yeah, so I did those 2.5 years on maintenance, and then I finished chemo in 2018. So I did chemotherapy for 3.5 years, and then with leukemia, because it's high risk to come back, I had to get checked every 6 months for 5 years after that. So that video that you saw, that was my last like 6 month checkup that I had. That I was finally like, "You're done. You're good. You're done at B." And I was like, I was still going to the children's hospital. And I was like 24 years old, right? So that was like the last kind of hurrah there. So
Yeah. Yeah. So what made you want but you had lost your mom. if you were, because you lost your mom at 21?
Yes, my mom passed away in 2020, and she was 46 years old, and she had a heart attack out of nowhere, which is wild too. So
Wow. So what made you, like, decide, "I'm gonna run 100 miles after this
yeah.
last cancer appointment?" Of all
Yeah,
things,
so
right? Like, "Hey,
yeah,
let me
so
just go run."
it's a long story. So my story is very long and it's all kind of interconnected a little bit. So after I was done chemo in 2018, I got into real estate really young, so I became a realtor at 19, and that was going really good. Like I bought my first house within a couple years, and I had got a nice car, and I had all these things that, like these materialistic things that quote unquote thought made me successful. And then, yeah, like I said, my mom, August of 2020, a few months after I bought my house, my mom ended up passing away out of nowhere, and I'll never forget the night before her funeral. When she passed away, I just like started like drinking a lot. I was smoking weed a lot, and I just the night before her funeral, I was drunk by myself at my house, and I was crying, and I was like, all of these things that I thought were gonna make me happy and quote unquote successful. I was like, that was kind of my light bulb moment. I'm like, none of this stuff matters if I'm not truly happy inside. And so
Yeah.
after that, I needed some goal or something to work towards. And I needed like a something to get me out of this rut. And there's a kind of an influencer on social media that I follow. His name is Devin Levesque. And he in 2020, he had around this time, he bear crawled the New York City Marathon and he raised like $500,000 for mental health, which was really cool. And I just didn't know him. I just followed him on social media and I showed it to my friend, and my friend was like, and we were just kind of getting back into running at the time. And like I said, I found out that I was sick through running. And my buddy was like, you should run to children's hospital, like to the children's hospital that you got your treatment at. And I live
Yeah.
like an hour and a half drive, like 100 kilometers from that hospital. And I'm like, fuck that. Like I've never ran more than 10 kilometers. Like I can't run 100. And then it just kinda, like, stuck in my head, though, and the next day, I went out and I did a 10K, and I hadn't done a 10K since before I gotten sick, and I did it in, like, under an hour, which is decently quick, and I was like, "I could probably do that 10 more times, like, how hard could that really be?" Not realizing how hard it would actually
Right.
be. And so so this was a run that I did before the run that you saw on Instagram. So in 2021, I decided to run from Chilliwack, where I live, which is an hour outside of Vancouver, BC. And we ran 100 kilometer, and but I said I was going to do this. I had never ran more than 10K. I announced it to everyone. I put it on social media, and I had never ran more than 10 kilometers. So I was like, I got to figure this out. But to me, like, that's how I do all of these crazy challenges that I do now. It's like, just announce it to the world or put something on the calendar and then figure out the rest later. And so,
Bingo.
yeah. So that's
I'll
kinda
I'll
how I live my
tell
life.
how I launched this. That's
Okay.
okay, no shit. When I launched the podcast, I didn't even have a freaking microphone, and I was like, if I don't hard launch myself on social media, I'm never gonna fucking do it. So
Yeah.
what did I do? I posted my first TikTok, I posted on Instagram, and I'm like, "Hey, my podcast is going live tomorrow. Be sure to check it out." I hadn't even recorded the fucking episode,
Yeah.
but it all
You just
worked
gotta
out.
do it, and if everyone knew how to do it, everyone would do it, right? But it's like, you just gotta do it and figure it
Exa
out.
You gotta push through that fear and
Exactly.
the excuses, and you do end up figuring it out,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah,
do, and
100%.
it's yeah, you just gotta
So
take the
that
leap,
Yeah,
Jayden.
so that run, I ended up running. So it took me. I started training beginning of 2021. We ended up doing that run that October, and we ran from Chilliwack to BC Children's Hospital. It was 103 kilometers, and my initial goal was to raise $20,000 for the hospital. We ended up raising over 125 grand that time. It was insane. Like it
My
blew up. It was all over the
gosh.
news. It was really cool. And so, yeah, that just to me, it was like that was the coolest thing ever. So, and
Yeah,
it kinda like it was like hadn't like I crossed the finish line, and the biggest thing for me was, like, there was kids that came down from their hospital rooms with, like, IV poles, and, like, this kid, like, he was too sick to come down, so he made me a "Thank you, Jaden" sign in the window. And to me, it was like it was cool, like, yeah, we ran a long ways, and, yeah, we raised a lot of money, but, like, the coolest part about that was, like, to give those kids hope that, like, yeah, I was in their shoes at one point, and, like, you can come out of it and do something cool, and there is hope, so
Yeah, you're
Aw.
already making me cry, dude.
Aw.
No, that's just so hard, like, right?
Yeah.
And, like, being able to be and show them, like, you can get through this,
Mhm.
right? And I just am a firm believer of you can do and be anything that you want in life.
Mhm.
And it's all based on the stories that you're telling yourself. And I'm quite sure when you told people, "Hey, I'm gonna run 100 miles home from the hospital," some people were probably like, "Are you insane?"
Yeah. I literally got blood work, like, I got blood work before I ran, like, it was like I was like, "I don't know if anyone's ever done that before."
Right. So what
Yeah.
is kind of I mean, like, I know that your mentality is not living for the material things.
Mhm.
And so how do you implement that just every single day? Like, what are some of your biggest takeaways from everything that you've gone through
Yeah.
and why that it's so important? Because so many people get caught up in their day to day and
Mhm.
future planning, right? Where it's all these running all these future scenarios that may or may not happen.
Mhm.
And they just live in this constant state of the future versus the present. And psychology shows whenever you're living in the past or the future, you're living in anxiety. Anxiety
Yeah.
can't live in the present. So,
Yeah.
what is your biggest advice for people on, you've faced death
Yeah.
honestly with cancer, like what is your biggest advice?
There's a really good book that I love, and it's called The Gap and the Gain, and I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but it touches exactly on what you just said is and I'm guilty of this still, even to this day, is, like, most people think about the gap mindset of, like, "Oh, I'll be happy when, I
Mhm.
achieve this or when this happens," and that's thinking in the gap mindset of, like, between the gap between where I'm at to where I wanna be, but we have to shift your thinking and think from the gain mindset of like, I look at it, I'm like, 11 years ago, got diagnosed with cancer. And I'm like, look at everything that's happened in the last 11 years. And so I try and think about that book changed my life. I try and think about that book a lot. But that being said, like, when I did this run, like, I didn't really understand this yet. Like, I would say, like, the run was kind of a Band-Aid on everything that I was dealing with because it was kinda just, like, this goal that I needed to work towards to get myself out of this rut that I was in. And it didn't really I didn't really work on myself or figure out all my problems, and so, like, I crossed the finish line on that run, and I felt super happy, but I didn't have, like, the tools or, like, the mindset of, like, how I got it through everything. I just kinda, like, it almost ignored my problems, and this is kind of now how everything's tying into my last run that you saw, but a month after that run was when one of my best friends passed away that I talked about, as well a little bit in my story, and that was even, like that was the one that made me really hit rock bottom, and it was because it was 5 of my friends or it was me and 4 of my friends, we went on a boys' trip to Texas to go watch a Dallas Cowboys game on
I
Thanksgiving, and
swear I literally right next door from where I
okay.
am right now.
Okay, you might have even heard about this because this was crazy. 2021 American Thanksgiving, me and my buddies go down, and the night before the Cowboys game, this is an hour-long story in itself, so I'll make this part of it really quick. But basically, like, we went bar hopping downtown Dallas the night before the game, and me and my friends got split up. My friend we woke up in the hotel room the next morning, he wasn't there, but my friend we were separated, and my friend ended up meeting some guy on the side of the road with a nice car. They ended up going for a joyride, and they got into a car accident that night, and they died. And so we woke up in the hotel room the next morning, and he wasn't there, and we had to go through the motions of, like, trying to find a missing person, and it was
Yeah.
this whole thing, but basically, like, one of my best friends died on this trip that we were on together. And, to me, after that trip, like, that's when I really hit rock bottom, and it was just because it was, like, I was, like, only, like, when 21 so I was 22 at the time, and I'm like, "Man, I've already been through cancer, I lost my mom a year ago, and now, like, a year later, like, this happens," and I'm just like and then I just kinda got back in my old because I didn't have the tools to deal with I just kinda did this run and ignored everything, and then all of that stuff that I never dealt with came back up, and so how this is kinda now coming full circle with the 100 miler that I did, that influencer that I followed on Instagram that was a big inspiration for my first run, Devin, he was just doing this thing where you could book a Zoom call with him for $100, and he's, like, a really cool entrepreneur, like, Forbes 30 under 30, and I just wanted to chat with him about, like, how, like, he's built what he's built and, like, hear his story, and so I booked a Zoom call with him. It was $100. I was a little starstruck, and he told me his story, and then and once we were done, he asked me about mine, and I was like, "Dude, like, thanks so much for doing this bear crawl, like, it inspired me to do this run that I did," and he's like he's like, "Dude, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard, like, we should keep in touch," and I was like, "I'd love to," like, I didn't think we were actually gonna keep in touch, though, and then a few months later, he sent me an email, and he was like, "Oh, my business partner and I, Jesse Itzler," I don't know if you've heard of Jesse or not, he's like a big you should look him up, you'd love Jesse, he's like, "My business partner and I, Jesse Itzler, we're hosting an event called Hell on the Hill, like, I'd love for you to come." And then he's like, "The next weekend, I'm hosting an event at my ranch in Austin, and we're also, like, doing this health and wellness thing." And he's like, "You should just, like, after the Hell on the Hill, like, come back with me to Austin. You can just, like, stay with me for a week if you want." And I'm like, "Sick." So I go on this trip, and
Yes.
that trip completely changed my life. Like, on that trip, I met so many cool people, and all of the cool things that I've done over the last couple years, like running 100 miles home. I've crewed friends ride their bikes across America the last 2 years in a row. Like all of the people that I met, spider webbed from that trip, and it just started from saying yes to this one thing. And
Yeah.
how the idea for my 100 miler came about was because I was on that trip and I was telling everyone about my run that I had just done, but I was converting 100 kilometers to miles, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, it was like 60 something miles." I'm like, "Gosh, that doesn't sound as cool."
Yeah.
Doesn't sound as cool as 100. And then I met this guy at that trip, and his name was Ryan, and now he's my running coach and one of my best friends. He was like, "Dude, have you ever thought about doing a 100 miler?" And I said, "No." And then in this moment, I had this idea because this was 2022, and the year coming up, I had my last cancer checkup. And so I was like, I literally thought of it in this moment. I was like, "Oh, like I did this run," and I'm like, I wasn't going to try and recreate it, but like a really cool idea would be like, what if we ran 100 miles home from my last cancer checkup? And the running coach at this event, he was like, "If you do that, I'll train you for it for free. I'll fly out and we will run the whole thing step for step together." And,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what we ended up doing. And then, yeah, so that's how that came about. So from 2022 to that next year, 2023, we ended up training for it. And then, yeah, that's how the video that you saw ended up coming to fruition.
I so what's so crazy is, the beginning of this year, I was like, "This is gonna be the year of yeses for me.
Mhm,
This is gonna be the year of yeses. I'm not saying no anymore," because I firmly believe that when you actually do shit, like, say yes to stuff, you don't know where it's gonna lead you. Like, you saying yes to that meeting and going down to Austin led you to something so much bigger than yourself, right? And then it
mhm,
gave you so many connections. And I think so many people are scared to just say yes to shit
mhm.
because they're like, well, what if it doesn't, what if this, it's like, just say yes and see what happens. So
Yeah, and so
that's my
that was kinda
mentality.
my motto, like, after that trip, like, that was kinda, like, what I needed, like, after, like, kinda hitting rock bottom. It was like, I kinda,
Yeah.
like at this event, we were, like, sauna cold plunging, and that's how I found that, which has been a huge game changer for my mental health, and, like, I just from that trip, I just said, like, "I'm gonna say yes to every opportunity that comes from this," and it's like, I have traveled all over North America now because of it, to Europe, like all of these things, and it's just spider webs from just saying yes to this one thing. And so that's how I try to live my life now. And what was cool about my run that I did, you can see in the video, I had like from my last appointment, yeah, so going back to that now is like so we ended up training all year for that. I wanted to raise some more money for BC Children's Hospital, so that following October, I got my last blood work done. We were all cleared. I had set up like a whole police escort to like I made the route longer because it was only 100K. back to where I
Yeah.
live, but I made the route longer to do the 100 miles, and we had a whole police escort back the whole way, and I had met so many friends from all over the world from this event, like, on that run, like, you could see the community of people around me in the video, and it's, like, people from Dubai, Utah, like, people from all over the states and, like, literally all over the world, like, flew out to, like, be a part of this run, and it was like that
Yeah.
what was so cool for me was, like, regardless of the running and the regardless of we ended up raising another $85,000 for the hospital that time, it was like, just seeing the community come together, I was like, "This is what life's about," and, like, this is what got me out of my rut, and it was like, that was just so cool to see.
Yeah. Were the kids out there with their signs?
Yeah, like, so this time we finished, like, because we started at the hospital, so we finished in my town, and we finished at, like, my office where I work, in the parking lot, but there was, like,
Yeah.
this one girl in particular that she was a patient at Children's the first year that I did my run in 2021, and she came down with a thank you sign, and then she actually had finished treatment and is all good, and she has followed my whole journey, and so she drove out to Chilliwack and made me another "Thank you, Jayden" sign, so we have a picture
Oh,
from we have a picture from my first run together, and then we have a picture from the last run together. It's really cool.
man. Sorry. I love that though. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's incredible. And like so I have a friend that runs ultras and,
Mhm,
um, I mean, she was actually on the podcast and it's so much more mental than it
mhm.
is physical. Like, and that's what she says all the time. Like your mind will give up long before your body ever will. So, what was keeping you going, especially after your last cancer appointment? And what was keeping you going? Was it the people that were like, were people actually running with you, or did you have like pacers or anything like that? Or
Yeah, so well, for one, my running coach ran the whole 100 miles with me. So, like,
okay,
he ran the entire thing, which was really cool. But this is, like, going off of, like, talking about everyone talks about, like, you are who you surround yourself with, and
hmm,
the people that we're running with like, I had a friend that had never ran more than, like, 10 kilometers in his life, but just because of, like, on the run and, like, the environment, like, he collectively ran 60K over the 24 hours, like, and it was
yeah,
like I'm like just because he was around all of us, right? My sister, who has
yeah,
never ran in her life, did like a half marathon, and it's like just because they were around us and like we were running, and they
yeah,
just wanted to run. So it's like so cool of like you don't know what you're capable of till you're around people that are doing stuff that are crazier than what you're doing, right? And so, but the
yeah,
mindset that got me through was I wrote on Sharpie in my arm and I was like, I said 24 hours equals a lifetime of memories, great ROI, like return on your investment. And I'm like, I wrote that because I'm like, every time it got tough, I just looked around and like I saw like we had like a motor home that was following us with our crew. We had all these people, we had a police escort, and every time it got hard, I just like looked around and I'm like, this is so cool. I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my life. Like all I
yeah,
have to do is suck it up for 24 hours and I'm gonna have memories for the rest of my life. And so I'm like,
yeah.
that's a great return. So I didn't even really get in that bad of a mindset because every time I thought about, I was like, oh, this sucks. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, how do you compare to any races that you do now, right? Like, this is the
That's act
peak, but
that has actually been a very hard mental battle, like, they say after you do a big challenge or something like that, you can almost go into a bit of, like, depression afterwards because you're, like, come from such a high and you come down afterwards, and that's the thing is, like, I'm training for, a 200-kilometer trail run this August, which will be physically the hardest thing that I've ever done to date, but at the same time, like, it doesn't have that same meaning as that one did. So that's what's a bit of a tough battle now is, like, nothing's ever gonna top that one.
no, but at least you did it, right? And you have that memory and you have like all those people that were surrounding you. So let's talk a little bit about you kept bringing up I didn't deal with my demons and you did like the
Mhm,
cold plunges and all that. And what people don't realize is trauma is stored in the body. And I
mhm.
don't know if you've ever read the book, The Body Keeps Score,
I've
but
heard of it, but I haven't read it.
It's incredible. It's all about trauma, and we all have trauma. Like, you're going through cancer, your mom passing away, like those are very traumatic events.
Mhm.
And unless you actually deal with them,
Mhm.
it's going to keep coming up. So if you're suppressing your emotions and not dealing with your shit,
Mhm.
you're going to deal with it one way or another.
Yeah.
It just might not be the way that you want to deal with it. So
Yeah.
what kind of got you out of that rock bottom, and how did you realize, like, I can't live like this anymore? Because a lot of people don't. You could have gone down a very different path.
Mhm. And yeah, I was starting to, like I said, I was drinking, I was smoking weed all the time, and I very well could have gone down a different path. But like I said, like that trip that I went on changed my life. Like I just like the learning the importance of community and surrounding yourself with people that are doing crazier things than you are. And like on that trip, like I cold plunged, did like the sauna cold plunge for the first time. And as crazy as it sounds, like cold plunging changed my life too, because they talk about with cold plunging, like it's your body going through that fight or flight, and then it's you,
Mhm.
like, dealing with that stress, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like, I have a cold plunge in my garage. I just sat in the cold plunge first thing when I woke up this morning, 2 minutes in the cold plunge, and it's like, it's controlling your body under that stress, and that has applied to every single area of my life now, and it's just learning, like, and again, that's a tool in my toolbox that I have to
Mhm.
go to, and it's like that surrounding myself with good people and having open and honest conversations with them. That's another tool in my toolbox, and so like because of that trip, I call it like my little. I've built up a bunch of tools in my toolbox now because it's like obviously I don't want anything bad to happen in life, but obviously I know shit's gonna come up. But it's like now when stuff comes up, I actually have tools now in my toolbox to deal with these problems and these things that come up in life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the other thing too is, like, I think especially for men, they culturally,
Hmm.
it's very much be a man, suppress it, don't talk about your emotions.
Yeah, yeah.
And it does such a disservice. It
Mhm.
does such a disservice. And
Mhm.
you, people do need tools in their toolbox. And cold plunge, so just for the science background, that's actually helping regulate your nervous system.
Yeah.
And your nervous system is what runs the show in your life, because if you're in fight or flight all the time, your brain literally shuts down, just FYI. Like the
Yeah.
prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain where you actually make decisions and control planning, etc., shuts down when you're having those kind of responses. So the cold plunging is actually really good for regulating your nervous system and saying, "Hey, I'm safe. I'm
Yeah.
not in danger." But that's just one of many, right?
You know
Not
what?
everybody has access.
No,
No, go
but
ahead.
no one does. No, not everyone does, and I feel very grateful that like ever since that trip, I was like, I want to have a sauna and a cold plunge at my house. So I saved up for a couple years, and my garage now is literally like I put fake turf down. I have like patio lights on the ceiling. I have a cold plunge. I have a sauna, and it's funny. I posted a video of it on Instagram like a week ago, and it's gone viral too. Actually, but there was this guy that commented on it, and he was like this macho kind of guy, and he commented on the video and he's like, you can tell because it was just my garage and it was filled with that rather than like tools and stuff. And this guy comments on it and he's like, you can just tell this guy does no work in his garage. And I just thought it was funny, but I responded to the comment and I said, I work on myself actually. And I think that it just goes
Yeah.
to like what you were talking about of like men don't like have vulnerable conversations or work on themselves because it's like they think that's like sensitive and not macho and manly, whatever. But it's like that all of that stuff's gotten me through everything that I've gone through. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and, like, it's just like, okay, like, I see where you are in life, right? And
yeah,
believe you me, I get those comments on TikTok all the time. It's like, it's like, you
yeah,
know what?
yeah,
Block. I'm a big fan of blocking,
yeah,
Jayden. I'm like,
yeah,
don't need you here. But
Well, it's funny
so what
that post, people started arguing on the comments, as car guys being like, blah, blah, and it's got like 900,000 views now because people are freaking arguing on it. It's hilarious.
Thanks for letting me go viral.
Exactly, yeah.
I know, it's so stupid. But I will say this for the women that are listening, warmth is better than cold for the
Mhm.
female body. Cold is better for men. And even if you don't have like the funds to buy a cold plunge, take a cold shower. You
100%.
can you can do a cold shower like once a week.
Yeah,
There are ways
yeah.
to regulate your nervous system without having to invest thousands of
100%.
dollars, especially if you don't have it.
And if you live somewhere colder or that you have 4 seasons, if you just, like, stick a horse trough outside all winter, that's your cold plunge right
Mhm.
there. A horse trough's like $100.
Exactly. Now, Texas, it would never do that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we don't
Yeah,
have 4 seasons.
yeah. I live in
So,
Canada, so I could leave a horse trough outside and it would be covered in ice in the winter times.
1000%. So you said that it's all about surrounding yourself with different people. So
Mhm.
what type of people do you surround yourself with now? And you kept saying people that are crazier than you,
Yeah,
meaning obviously people that are doing things that you want to do to
yeah,
push you, right?
yeah.
So how do you find these types of people and what do you recommend like for those that want to do things and I don't know, they don't know where to start.
I would say just, like, put yourself out there, like, most of my friends are way older than me, like, I'm 27, but I would say the average age of my friends is probably, like, mid-40s, and
Really?
it's always just been like that, like, when I was a kid, I grew up going to the skate park, like, everyone was always older than me. I got into real estate at 19 years old, which I was the youngest one by far, so just, like, I've always just surrounded myself with older people, and, like, one of my best friends, and one of my biggest mentors in my life, his name's Cam, he owns, like, the real estate brokerage that I work at, and he's, like, super successful realtor, developer, all these things, and I'm like, I've just started like, from day one, I was like, "He's someone that I look up to. I wanna be like him. I'm gonna make an effort to hang out with him all the time." And then it's like,
Yeah.
once you get yourself in that circle, then I started meeting all of his connections, and it's like, once you and for example, like Devin, that guy that I was looking up to on social media, he's a crazy, like, million plus followers, does all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, I look up to this guy. I want to be like him. I took that chance of like booking $100 Zoom call with him. And then next thing you know, it's like I'm going to his house in Austin and going to an event. So it's like, you just got to like put yourself out there and you never know what can happen from that. But it's like hanging out with people that it's like the people that you look up to and you want to be like, reach out to them, ask them to
Mhm.
go for coffee, like, pick their brain, and just, like, it snowballs from there.
Yeah. Well, and I think so many people so I get this question a lot, like, "How do you find the people on your podcast?" And I'm like, "I just send them a message, and I
Yeah,
ask them if they wanna
yeah,
be on." And I'm a firm believer, like, if they say no, who cares? I'm still in the same position that I was
mhm,
had I not sent them a message, right? And I think so many people lack audaciousness. And I
mhm,
had this discussion the other day with one of my friends because he was like, "Man, like, you're a go-getter." And I'm like, "Well, who else is going to do it?
yeah,
Who else is going to do it?
yeah,
If I'm not going to go after what I want, no one's going to do it for me. So, of course I'm a go-getter." And it is about surrounding yourself with people who are doing what you want to do in life
mhm.
and not being afraid to and that's the other thing. Most people that are doing what you wanna do in life will gladly tell you the secrets.
So,
Like
all of those people are, like, the most open and honest people I've ever met, and it's like, and what's the worst that can happen? Like, they say no, then great, move on, you didn't know them anyways, like, it's like that cheesy quote, it's like, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take," and it's like, I don't wanna get to the end of my life and be like, "Oh, I only lived up to, like, 50% of what I was actually capable of doing."
Yeah. It exactly. So what like, I know that you have a run club, correct?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
How'd you start that?
Yeah, so the run club was just kind of a like I just wanted to create, and the cool thing now is like when I was started traveling, I had almost like when I went to that trip and I traveled a lot over those couple years, I would always come home and I would kind of that miss that feeling of like community and health and wellness and like that. So I made it my goal to like that feeling that I get when I go away, like I want to create that at home. And so that's why like I built my little sauna cold plunge room. And then I'm like, hey, I want to surround myself with a community of like-minded people that are doing similar things. And so I decided to create a run club with some of my friends. And it just started with like, let's meet at the river at this day at this time. And whoever wants to come out, come out. And then it's snowballed from there. And it's like the cool part about it now is it's taken a couple years, but it's like I actually like this is the longest I haven't traveled since September, which I mean doesn't seem that long. I'm very grateful that I am able to travel a lot, but it's like this
Right.
last like year I'm like I want to be at home. Like I've created like I love like this I that sense of community and like happiness that I had when I traveled. I've created that at home now. And so
Yeah.
I feel like that should be like it doesn't matter. You don't have to start a run club or have like a sauna club. Like just whatever it is, like, if you're a say you're a stay-at-home mom and you're taking care of babies, like, create a walking club with your friends and just surround yourself with people that are at a similar stage of life as you, and it can do wonders.
Yeah. Well, and I think um, I don't know, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's a published author, doctor, and his keys to happiness truly is having a sense of community.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like
we need it.
having a sense of community. 1000%. Like how would you have been able to do that 100-mile run? I
Mhm.
mean, obviously you would have been able to do it, right? But without that sense of community
No,
and
and
those people that
it
were
wouldn't have
backing
been
you.
like me just doing 100 like I told everyone this when I was there. I was like, if I was just here by myself running 100 miles, like yeah, it would be a cool accomplishment, but like it wouldn't be that memorable. Like it was like the what made that run was like seeing the photos and videos of everyone coming together and like that's what made it special. And it's funny, like, I'm so glad that I that mindset flipped for me because when I wanted to do my first run, initially, I actually did wanna do it by myself, and I was putting it out to people that, like I said, I was doing it, and then people were like, "Oh, can I run along with you?" And at first, I was kinda like, like, I don't know, like, it's kinda my thing," and then I said yes, and I'm like, I'm so glad that I, like, didn't have that mindset of, like, I need to do it by myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you like what is the mindset that you try to live by day to day? Like what is obviously living for the memories. I saw one of your reels that you just recently posted about making memories, not more
Yeah.
materialistic. Like,
Yeah.
why is that so important to you based on everything you've been through? Because I truly believe that so many people forget that we are here to live,
Mhm.
not survive, but
Yeah.
live.
And I think that I mean, obviously, like, the biggest thing that has changed my mindset is obviously losing my mom and losing my friend, like, both of them passed away out of nowhere unexpectedly. My mom was 46, my friend was 29. Like, life can change literally tomorrow, and it's like, I don't wanna just live my life, like I said, like, get to the end of my life and be like, "Oh, I only lived, like, 50% of what I actually wanted to do or what I was capable of," and so I wanna like me and my friend have this quote, it's like, "Make every single day count," and it's like, it sounds cliche, but it's like, it's so tr like, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, I don't know, but it's like, I wanna just like my and Jesse Itzler has this saying, called building your life resume, and that's kinda what I go off of now, and it's like a lot of people build their resume of like, "Oh, I have this degree," or "I have this work accolade," or whatever, but like, that's your work resume, but, like, what's your life resume of, like, when you get to the end of your life, like, what are you gonna look back on? So for me, it's like when if I make it to 80 years old, which I hope I do, it's like I'm gonna be able to look back in, like, 2023, I ran 100 miles home from my last cancer checkup. 2025, I helped my friend ride his bike across America, and so it's like, it's building a life resume of things that you'll be able to remember and look back on, and so that's how I try to live my life.
Yeah. Well, you know that Harvard actually has a ton of studies that most people do come to the end of their life with regret.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's because they actually don't live their life and they're
Yeah.
so worried about the future or the past. And then you end up living with regret. And our
Yeah.
brains lie to us about how much time
Yeah.
it thinks that we have. And so we put stuff off. And our brain genuinely thinks, oh, we can handle that later, until later may not be there. Like you said, you could get hit by a bus. Your mom died completely unexpectedly at 46.
Yeah.
Your best friend died at 29.
Yeah.
Life is so short and finite. We don't have as much time as we think that we do.
Yeah.
And like you, I don't want to wake up at 80 with regrets, assuming
Yeah.
that I make it to 80.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to live now. And
Yeah.
everybody is so consumed with, well, I mean, when I get there, then I'll be able to live. When I do this, then I'll be able to live. Like that gap
Get gap
thing that you were
mindset.
talking about. It's like,
Yeah.
or you can live,
Yeah.
yeah, or you can
It
live
it it
now.
it creates it
You can live now and
actually
enjoy the journey of getting there.
100%. It makes life a little hard too, actually, at the same time, because it's like I want to be successful and like an entrepreneur, and like, then I have it's like finding that balance now of like, oh, I want to hustle and work hard and be successful, but I'm also like, I kind of want to just move to a remote island and like live on the beach. Like, it makes kind of like, but it's just finding that balance, and I'm so like,
But I feel like you can still have success on that remote island,
for
right?
sure.
Like you figure, like I genuinely believe, like you figure it out. Like you figure it out. And have you ever read the book The Alchemist?
I have. I love it. It's one of my favorite books.
That I mean, I feel like that's kind of like the whole like basis. Like
Mhm.
you got to figure out what you want, but you have to enjoy what you're doing in the meantime to
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the most brilliant books, and I think everyone should read it. But I feel like that's kind of my life motto, that, you know, we get so consumed in forgetting that there's beauty in the journey.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where, like, I feel like I really like what I was saying is, like, I felt like I've created that feeling that I had when I was going on those trips, that I've created it now at home. To me, that feels like the whole alchemist journey is, like, I feel like I went on this whole journey and traveled and did all these things, and then it's like I came back home and I'm like, I have all of the everything that I needed to feel that was already here. I had to create it.
yeah. So what were you doing on your travels? Was it just for
Yeah.
fun, or
It
what was the
was
purpose of
everything
it?
just kinda snowballed. Everything kinda snowballed. Like, it was, like, from that one trip, it was, like, then, I met another guy who lived in New York. Then a few months afterwards, like, I ended up going out to New York and visiting him. I went to New York, and then it was like I from that Zoom call with Devin, actually, there was a guy, I screenshotted that Zoom call, I put it on my Instagram story. Someone that followed Devin saw it, clicked on my profile, realized I had just done this run. He lived in Victoria, BC, which is like a couple hours from me. So he's like, "Oh shit, this guy seems cool. He lives a couple hours from me. Like, I should reach out to him." So then he reaches out to me and whatever, and then we ended up running a marathon together. He did this event called 29029, which is a hiking event where you have to climb. 29029 is like the elevation gain in Mount Everest, so 29,029 feet. And it's a hiking challenge that you have to hike up a mountain like 13 times, and you gondola it down. It equals the elevation gain in Mount Everest. And it's a super expensive event to go to. Like, it's like 6 grand, and because they rent out the whole mountain, and like it's like an all inclusive type thing. And my friend went to that friend that saw me off Devin's story. He did it that following year. And then after he did it, the event coordinators, they wanted to give away a ticket to someone with a meaningful story. So then that guy that I met from Devin's Instagram story nominated me to win a ticket. Then I win a ticket to this. And then so I ended up going to this crazy expensive event, do this challenge. on that event, I met this guy named Alvaro, who's like a luxury realtor in Miami, who like is on like he's a crazy successful entrepreneur, crazy athlete. Now he's one of my good friends that I met at that event. Then like from that event, I met Alvaro. Alvaro last year rode his bike from across America from San Diego to Atlantic City, New Jersey in 12 days, and I was on his crew team. So it's like I said, like I've done so many different things in travels literally over the last couple years because of that one event. And then everyone that I met through that event had spider webbed. And like I said, it all happened from me just saying yes to things.
What is the mentality that you see from all these people that are, we'll say, quote unquote, the people that you look up to, right? The successful people.
Yeah.
What is their mentality
I
on
would say
life and going after what they want? Like, what do you see?
I would say, well, one, all of them do intentionally do hard things. And if anything, like that has obviously been a huge thing in my life. But obviously, like they voluntarily do hard things. Like that Devin dude, he bear crawled a marathon. Jesse Itzler, he does 100-mile runs, and he like has a book called Living with a Seal. He had David Goggins live with him. He's done a bunch of crazy stuff. My buddy Alvaro, he does like Ultraman, Ironmans, and rode his bike across America. And it's because doing these hard things apply to all other areas of your life because your body is shutting down when you're doing a 100-mile run or when you're riding your bike across America. But it's your mindset that gets you through it, which then applies to all the other hard things in your life, whether you're going through a hard time in a relationship or you're going through a hard time at work. And so that's one. And then also just all of these guys that I look up to, like, they look at success differently. Like, everyone thinks success is like the materialistic things, like a nice house, a nice car, a bunch of money, all this stuff. But like that Jesse guy, he looks at success is like whatever matters most to you in your life. Like, yeah, like someone's version of success could be having a bunch of money and having a nice car and having a nice house, or like someone else's version of success could be like having time to be able to like financial freedom to like spend time with their kids or their family, or like just whatever your version of success is. And this is those guys aren't focused on the materialistic things. They're more focused about like making memories and building that life resume that I talked about.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, when you look at look at your life, what's most important? Like, okay, great. And I'm not saying that people that are materialistic are bad, but those are just things. And you can lose that in an instant, right? And you're like you had said, like your life can change like that. But you can't make up lost time for not spending time with your kids or your family or anything. Like you don't get that time back. You don't get that time back. And I don't think, again, like I had mentioned, I think so many people think, oh, I'll have more time. I'll have time to do, and you don't.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
Like you just don't.
No, there's a saying, and it's
So
like
that's that's my
time
hot
is
take.
undefeated. No one's ever bought time. And so it's like that is the biggest thing. And yeah, like I said, like nothing wrong with the materialistic things, but if you're sick at the end of your life, or if you get cancer tomorrow, it's like you can't bring your nice car with you to the hospital. But it's like when you're sitting in your hospital bed, like all those memories of the beautiful life that you've created, that's what you have with you at that time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's all we have. And the time that is spent with those that we love and want to be around. Like, that's all you have, truly. Because again, material things are just there. They're objects. But Jaden, I know that we're almost at time. Is there anything else that you would like people to know or hear from you?
No, I think we covered everything.
1000%. And also, I want people to know when you take the first step of doing whatever you're afraid of, the fear dissipates. Like it's the fear only has grip until you actually tackle it. So as soon as you actually take that first step, the fear goes away. So if you're scared of doing or trying something, you just got to fucking do it. You have to do it and it goes away. So, well, Jayden, thank you so much. Listen, do you know how many times I have to tell people just fucking do something about it and the fear will be gone? Fear is not real. Fear is not real. The end. It's all bullshit. Thank God it's my podcast. We're earning an explicit rating today. We earned our explicit rating today, and I don't care. But Jayden, truly thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You are such an inspiration. It was so dope to talk to you. And I cannot wait to keep following you along your journey. So, yeah, of course. Have the best day.